My wife, Clara, had crippling social anxiety. The crushing presence of a crowd would steal the air from her lungs. So when I found 2 tickets to a sold-out concert in her drawer just before my birthday, I was floored. When she saw me holding them, she just gave me a faint smile and said, "See you there." I thought she was finally willing to face her deepest fears for me. But I waited until the last encore faded, the lights came up, and the arena emptied, and I never saw her. The only sign of her I found was on social media, a new post from her best friend, Leo. The caption read, "My princess, crossing an ocean of people in a wedding dress just for me." The picture, however, was of the 2 of them in the pulsating chaos of a nightclub dance floor, bodies swaying in a euphoric blur. In that single, heart-stopping moment, 5 years of us unraveled. The hope I had so carefully nurtured withered and died. After leaving the empty concert hall, a cold dread settling in my gut, I tried calling Clara one more time. To my surprise, she answered, but the sound that greeted me was a chaotic assault of noise. Thumping bass, shouting voices, and clinking glasses, everything she claimed to despise. Just as I started to worry she was in some kind of trouble, a man's voice, slick and familiar, cut through the din. "Ethan, is that you?" There was a pause. "Anything important?" "Clara's with me right now." Even though I had braced myself for it, a sharp, white-hot pain lanced through my chest. "Where are you?" "Put Clara on the phone." Leo chuckled, a low, condescending sound. "She's asleep, man. Just tell me, and I'll pass along the message." "Oh, and Clara mentioned today's your birthday, right?" "Happy birthday, Ethan." His tone was a deliberate provocation, a casual assertion of his place in her life, as if he were the one who belonged there. I looked down at my own hands, my knuckles white, and slowly ended the call. When I'd found the tickets a few days ago, I'd held them out to her, my heart pounding with a fragile hope. Her quiet "see you there" felt like the greatest birthday gift I could have asked for. I was ecstatic. She, who avoided even a crowded grocery store, was willing to brave a stadium for me. It felt like a breakthrough, a testament to her love. But she never came home last night. My texts and calls went unanswered, a string of silent pleas in the digital void. Finally, hours later, a single message, "Busy," and then nothing. I went to the concert alone, surrounded by thousands of happy strangers, checking my phone between every song, but her screen remained dark. Now I knew. She wasn't busy. She was with Leo. The most agonizing part was that she hadn't forgotten my birthday. She had simply chosen to celebrate it with him. For 5 years, our marriage had been a triangle. Her relationship with Leo was a constant, undefined presence, a shadow that loomed over every milestone. On our anniversaries, some emergency would inevitably pull her away to be with him. I had argued, pleaded, and raged, but it was like punching a ghost. She would just watch my emotional breakdown with a detached calm. When I was finally spent, she would ask coolly, "Are you done? If there was really something between Leo and me, do you honestly think you would have ever been in the picture? Yes, he's in love with me. Yes, he stayed single all these years for me. But to me, he's just a friend." Over time, I learned to swallow my protests. I told myself she would change, that our love would eventually win. I endured Leo's taunts and provocations in silence, because I knew Clara was the one giving him the power to hurt me. My hands clenched into fists, the sting in my palms a welcome distraction from the storm of negative emotions threatening to consume me. The pain was a grounding force, pulling me back from the edge. I took a deep, shuddering breath, deciding to deal with this when I got home. But then, my phone buzzed with another notification. A new post from Leo. "Thank you for conquering your fears for me, my dearest princess." The photo attached was of them on the dance floor. Clara, who was always so composed and distant with me, was clinging to him, her face alight with an adoring, almost fawning expression I had never seen. She was wrapped around him, her entire being focused on making him happy. I thought my heart was already broken, but seeing that image, it fractured all over again. A suffocating tightness gripped my throat, making my head spin. In that moment of blinding clarity, I finally understood. I was never the exception to her fears, Leo was. 5 years of devotion, of patience, of relentless hope, it all crumbled to dust. I turned my back on the dispersing crowd and called my lawyer. I told him to draw up the divorce papers. Back at the apartment, I started packing. To marry Clara, I had agreed to move into her family's home, a concession I made without a second thought. After 5 years, I hadn't accumulated much. It took less than 10 minutes to pack my life into a few boxes. Just as I was about to walk out the door, it swung open, and Clara stumbled in. She met my gaze, her eyes clouded from alcohol, and took in my packed bags without a flicker of concern. Going on a business trip? Don't leave yet. Make me some hangover soup first. She kicked off her heels and tossed her jacket onto the sofa before collapsing onto it, falling instantly into a deep sleep. As she turned her head, my eyes caught a dark, angry mark on her neck. A hickey, so deep and brutal it was almost a bite. "Leo, drink less," she mumbled in her sleep. The words were a final twist of a knife. I walked over to the couch and saw the mark more clearly. It was deliberate, placed where it couldn't be missed, a brand left for me to see. Clara had always recoiled from my touch, claiming she had a kind of psychological aversion to physical intimacy. Countless nights, I had reached for her, only wanting to hold her, and she had pushed me away with cold finality. But now, a bitter, humorless laugh escaped my lips. I went to the kitchen and made her the soup, one last time. After she drank it, I was ready to leave. To stay any longer would be to make myself a complete joke. Just then, my phone lit up with a text from Leo. "Hey, I'm sure Clara's home by now. We didn't do anything, so don't get the wrong idea. If you're angry, take it out on me." I snapped. "Are you done with the act?" I fired back in a voice message, my voice shaking with rage. "If you really loved her, why did you pretend to be just friends all those years ago? I've had enough of you. Try me again, and I swear you'll regret it." A voice from behind me made me freeze. "Who are you yelling at?" Clara was awake, standing right behind me, her eyes fixed on the messages from Leo on my phone screen. Before I could say a word, her hand flew up and slapped me across the face. "Leo was just worried about you. What right do you have to yell at him?" she shrieked, her voice raw. "And what did I even do? I went out with a friend. Is that a reason to throw a fit like this?" I stared at her, stunned, the sting on my cheek a dull throb. The shock of her own action seemed to sober her up. She awkwardly pulled her hand back. "Sorry," she mumbled. "I wasn't thinking clearly. Don't take it personally." She reached for my arm, her tone shifting to one of explanation. "Leo texted me saying his depression was getting bad. He just needed someone with him. You know how it is. When an episode hits, someone has to be there, or else." I cut her off with a quiet nod. "I know." Clara flinched and instinctively pulled down the sleeve of her sweater, covering the faint, old scars on her wrist. Oh yes, how could I not know? When her own depression had pulled her into a suffocating darkness years ago, I was the one who held her hand and guided her, step by painful step, back into the light. And now, she was using the very care I had taught her to love someone else. Seeing that I wasn't falling over myself to comfort her, a flicker of anger crossed her face. "What's with that attitude? I'm trying to talk to you." I ignored her, picked up my bags, and walked to the door. "The soup is on the stove. Remember to drink it. Take care of yourself from now on." She ran after me, grabbing my arm. It was only then that she noticed I was also carrying our marriage certificate. Her brow furrowed in alarm. "What are you doing with that?" Before I could answer, she snatched my bags and threw them back into the apartment. "Don't think I don't know what you're doing. You're throwing a tantrum because you want more of my attention. I know it's your birthday. I didn't forget. I even got you a present." She pulled a box from her purse and handed it to me. Inside was a tie with a horrendously garish floral pattern. I recognized it instantly. It was the free gift that came with a designer bag Leo had bought. He had posted about it online weeks ago, bragging that it was the 99th gift Clara had given him. Seeing that post, I had felt a pang of envy, like a rat staring up from a sewer. Clara had never been that thoughtful with me. The only gift she'd ever given me was a scarf she'd knitted when we first married. It was full of holes now, but I still wore it every winter like a priceless treasure. "What's with that look? Aren't you happy I got you a gift?" Clara's voice turned sharp, her eyes narrowing as she studied my face. In her world, my job was to soothe her moods, to be grateful for any scrap of affection she threw my way. But I was tired, so incredibly tired. "You know exactly where this came from," I said, my voice cold. "Do you really want me to say it out loud? I'm done being the obstacle between you and Leo. Shouldn't you be happy about that?" I turned and walked out, not looking back, ignoring her shouts that echoed behind me. I checked into a hotel near my office. My resignation was already submitted. I just needed to finalize things before heading back to my hometown. In the days that followed, Clara didn't try to contact me. Instead, her social media was filled with pictures of her and Leo, laughing and traveling. They looked like a real couple, radiant and in love. Leo commented under one photo, a caption clearly meant for me. Clara's the best. She knows I love hiking and promised to come with me every week. I saved the picture of her brilliant, happy smile, a form of self-torture. It was time to let go. If she didn't care, why should I keep hurting myself? Just then, a message came from my lawyer. The divorce agreement was ready. I reviewed it, and as I was about to forward it to Clara, her message popped up first. Finally realize you were wrong? Come home tonight. Leo's having a party, and we need a cook. If you can keep everyone happy, I'll forget about what happened the other day. She thought I was ready to surrender, to crawl back and beg. Her words were a command, as casual as ever. I took a deep breath, a complicated mix of anger and exhaustion washing over me. I hadn't known how to cook before I met her. But Clara had a sensitive stomach, and I couldn't bear to see her in pain. So I learned, recipe by recipe, from online tutorials. She had been so moved back then, holding my hands and whispering that my cooking was for her, and her alone. Now, she wanted me to be the caterer for her party with him. Answer me, her next message demanded. Stop wasting my time. It's so annoying. I closed my eyes, a sense of resignation settling over me. Fine, I typed. I'll be there. When I walked into the apartment, the party was in full swing. Clara and Leo were the center of attention, surrounded by a laughing crowd, deep in a game of truth or dare. No one even noticed me arrive. Clara, who is the person you love the most? Someone yelled after she lost a round. Without a second's hesitation, she reached out and took Leo's hand. Of course, it's my Leo, she began, a playful smile on her face. Her words caught in her throat as her eyes finally found me, standing by the kitchen door. My face was a mask of calm. Don't mind me, I said evenly. Carry on. A flash of panic crossed her face. The old me would have been seething with jealousy, ready for a fight at the mere mention of Leo's name. She even followed me into the kitchen, hesitating, trying to formulate an explanation. I simply moved away from her touch. Go back to your party. I'll pretend I didn't hear anything. Ethan, are you serious? She snapped, her voice rising. We were just joking around. Who are you putting on this sad face for? I sighed, turning to face her. If I get angry, it's wrong. If I don't get angry, it's also wrong. What exactly do you want me to do, Clara? So you're not angry? She asked, a look of disbelief on her face. How could you not be angry? You always used to fight with me over this. You're just pretending, aren't you? I didn't answer. I finished plating the food and carried it out to the living room. Leo stood up, pretending to take the platter from me, and then deliberately let it slip from his fingers, sending food scattering across the floor. The room fell silent. Every eye was on us. Whoops, Leo said with a smirk. Sorry about that, Ethan. My hand slipped. You're not mad, are you? It was a blatant challenge, and everyone knew it. I fought to keep my emotions in check. It's fine, I said through gritted teeth. He felt bold enough to do this in my home. Because Clara had given him that power. My hands clenched into fists, the familiar pain a small anchor in a sea of rage. Making a scene here would only humiliate me further. Clara, however, rushed to Leo's side. Are you burned? Let me see. She fussed, ignoring me completely. Then she turned on me, her voice laced with accusation. You can't even hold a plate properly. Did you do that on purpose? For a fleeting moment, I saw a strange glimmer in her eyes. Was it anticipation? But I didn't have the energy to analyze it. I took a deep breath, reached into my bag, and pulled out a folded document. I came here today to make things clear, I announced, my voice cutting through the tense silence. I placed the papers on the coffee table. Clara, let's get a divorce. After you sign, we can pick a day to make it official. Then we're done. The color drained from Clara's face. She shot to her feet, her voice trembling uncontrollably. What are you talking about? You want to divorce me? Seeing her utter shock was almost comical. I suppose it was a fair reaction. For years, she had been the one to wield the threat of divorce. Like a weapon, and every time, I had crumbled, begging her to stay. Now that the roles were reversed, her world was tilting on its axis. Ethan, I just dropped a plate of food, Leo whined, trying to pull the attention back to himself. He theatrically bent down and started picking up the scattered food with his bare hands. I'll eat it off the floor, okay? Just don't be mad at Clara. I looked at him, and a wave of pure disgust washed over me. I grabbed him by the hair and slammed his face into the greasy mess on the floor. Fine, I snarled, holding him down as he struggled. Eat it. Eat it all. Leo, what the hell is wrong with you? Ethan, stop it. Are you insane? Clara shrieked, shoving me away from him without a moment's hesitation. She realized what she'd done a second later, a flush of embarrassment coloring her cheeks. You were hurting him. I had to stop you. I nodded slowly and pushed the divorce agreement towards her again. You asked me why I want a divorce. This is why. Because when it's between me and him, you will always choose him. So why won't you let me go? Our eyes met, and a look of shame and fury washed over her face. Then, as if a switch had been flipped, she snatched the papers. Fine. Sign. You think you're such a catch? Don't come crying back to me. She threw the agreement on the floor and helped a whimpering Leo to the bathroom to wash his face. I walked out without a backward glance. The resignation was finalized. I booked a high-speed train ticket for the next morning. After tonight, Clara and I would finally be severed. A profound sense of relief washed over me, as if a massive weight had been lifted from my shoulders. After dinner, I went for a walk to clear my head and ran into a familiar face. I heard you were living in this city, Sophia said, her smile warm and genuine. I've been meaning to get in touch. I can't believe I finally found you. We were classmates in college, and she'd had a crush on me back then. But I only had eyes for Clara and had turned her down. Years had passed, and Sophia had blossomed. She wore a simple white coat with an elegance that made her look like a celebrity. Want to walk for a bit? She asked, her invitation easy and natural. After a moment's hesitation, I agreed. We caught up on each other's lives. I was surprised to learn that Sophia had never been in a serious relationship since college. When I gently asked why, she met my gaze without flinching. What if I told you I was waiting for you? I just couldn't bring myself to settle. She had confessed to me again, right then and there. I looked into her eyes, which were clear, sincere, and full of a light I hadn't seen in years. My heart started to beat a little faster, a feeling Clara's many proclamations of love had never managed to evoke. I'm sorry, I said after a long moment. I just got divorced. I'm not really in the right headspace for that. It was true. Unlike Clara, I couldn't just jump out of a 5-year relationship unscathed. That's okay, Sophia said, her gaze steady and determined. I can wait. We walked on without a destination, when suddenly a car came screeching around the corner, out of control and heading straight for Sophia. Look out, I yelled, pulling her into my arms just as the car slammed into a nearby wall with a sickening crunch. Are you okay? I asked, my heart pounding. A crowd gathered, and in that crowd, I saw her. Clara. Her eyes were fixed on us, a flash of pure venom in her gaze. So that's why you were so eager to divorce me, she spat, her voice dripping with scorn. You found yourself another woman on the side. And here I was, actually feeling sad this afternoon. You're nothing but a cheating liar, Ethan. I felt a headache coming on. I took Sophia's hand, ready to leave, but Clara blocked our path, raising her hand to strike me. Before her palm could connect, Sophia pushed her back. Don't you dare touch him. Sophia stood in front of me, fierce and protective. Ethan and I are just friends. But even if we weren't, it's none of your business anymore. I love him. If you lay a hand on him, you'll have to go through me. Clara stared, speechless, her eyes filling with tears. It was a look that used to shatter my resolve, her performance of the pitiful victim. Let's go, Sophia, I said, looking at Clara with nothing but indifference. I took Sophia's hand and led her away. The warmth of her touch sent a gentle current through me. It wasn't until we were a block away that I let go, feeling a bit awkward. Sorry about that. I hope you don't mind. Sophia just shook her head. Ethan, she said, changing the subject, my company is looking for a new general manager. Are you interested? I was taken aback. I hadn't realized she had started her own business, let alone grown it into a successful enterprise. Just then, my phone pinged. A notification, the train tickets for tomorrow were now sold out. For some reason, a single thought flashed through my mind. It's a sign. Maybe being with Sophia was what was meant to be. So, when she asked again, I didn't hesitate. Yes, I said. A look of pure joy illuminated her face, and she threw her arms around me in a tight embrace. Her cheek was pressed against my chest, and I could feel the rapid, happy rhythm of her heart. I froze, time seeming to stop for a moment. Sophia, I started, unsure of what to say, wanting to pull away but not wanting to hurt her. I'm so happy, Ethan, she said, looking up at me, her eyes glistening. I know you just got divorced and might not be ready, but I don't want to miss my chance again. Looking at her earnest, hopeful face, I felt a complex mix of emotions. I gave a small nod, my own future still a blur. Come on, she said, smiling as she took my hand. Let me show you the office. The next day, I started my new life. Sophia's company was impressive, a bustling hive of organized activity. She showed me to a spacious, sunlit office. I hope you like it, she said. It was surreal. Not long ago, I was just an ordinary employee trapped in a toxic marriage. Now, I was the general manager of a thriving company. Thank you, I said, my voice filled with a gratitude I hadn't felt in years. We're partners now, she replied with a brilliant smile. A few days later, my assistant handed me my first major project file. Mr. Ethan, this is a potential partnership we're exploring, she said. The other party is Leo's company. A cold thrill went through me. I opened the file, a slow, predatory smile spreading across my face as I read the terms. I was already planning how to make this as difficult for him as possible. I'll handle this one personally, I said. When Leo walked into the conference room and saw me sitting at the head of the table, his jaw dropped. Ethan, what are you doing here? I'm the general manager, I replied coolly. We're partners now. He scoffed. How is that even possible? Just then, Sophia walked in, slipping her hand into mine. He's my boyfriend, she said, her voice clear and firm. Is there a problem? The Lin Corporation was well known in the city. Leo knew exactly who she was. He paled but quickly regained his composure. My apologies, Mr. Ethan. Shall we begin? During the meeting, I tore his proposal apart. I introduced clauses so restrictive they were almost punitive. He tried to argue, but I countered every point with cold, irrefutable logic. Watching him squirm was intensely satisfying. Mr. Ethan, aren't these terms a bit excessive? He finally choked out. Are they? I leaned back, feigning surprise. They seem perfectly reasonable to me. Of course, you're free not to sign. He knew his company needed our capital. He gritted his teeth and signed. Seeing his signature on that contract felt like a final, vindicating release. The years of humiliation finally had their payback. As soon as the meeting ended, Leo stormed out. Sophia came in and saw the smile on my face. You look pleased. I am, I admitted. Thank you for this. Anything to make you happy, she said, her warmth enveloping me. Predictably, Leo took out his frustration on Clara. The romantic facade of their relationship quickly crumbled under the weight of reality, and Clara's life became a series of bitter disappointments. She finally broke down and called me. Ethan, can we meet? There are things I need to explain. Sure, I said, glancing at the calendar. We can get the divorce certificate finalized at the same time. I'll pick you up. Clara was waiting for me, dressed up with heavy makeup. But when she pulled open the passenger door, she stopped short. Sophia was sitting there, a serene smile on her face. Sorry, Ms. Shun, Sophia said sweetly. I'm with Ethan today. Clara wordlessly got into the back seat. The entire drive was silent. I saw her in the rearview mirror, digging her nails into her palms, a telltale sign I knew all too well. Her depression was back, the same illness I had once guided her through. But it wasn't my burden to carry anymore. After the certificate was stamped, making our separation official, Clara grabbed my arm. Can I talk to you alone? Just for 5 minutes. Sophia gave me an understanding nod and went back to the car. Alone with Clara, the air grew heavy with a sorrow so thick it was almost tangible. Ethan, she whispered, her gaze fixed on the ground. I'm sorry. I beg you, don't hate me. I looked into the eyes that I had once wanted to lose myself in forever. Now, they were just two pools of sadness, separated from me by an ocean of tears and betrayal. I don't hate you, Clara, I said, and it was the truth. I just want to leave you and forget you. Her head bowed lower, and silent tears streamed down her face. I really did love you. I don't know how everything got so twisted. It's all my fault. I let out a dry, bitter laugh. She loved me. What, then, were the years of humiliation and cold neglect? But I don't love you anymore, I said, my voice flat. I stopped loving you the day you demanded I apologize. To him. To me. You're like a treasured toy that fell into a cesspool. It might have been precious once, but now it's just filthy. I don't even want to touch it to throw it away. It disgusts me. Do you understand? She staggered back as if I had physically struck her, her composure shattering completely. How did it come to this? Leo doesn't love me. He just hated you. He wanted to drive us apart. She crumpled to the ground, sobbing, the proud woman I knew completely gone. Before I could walk away, Leo appeared, his face a mask of rage. He kicked Clara hard in the side. You bitch, he screamed, his own pretense gone. Are you trying to ruin my reputation? You're the one who seduced me. Now that my company is ruined, you want to dump me? Not a chance. They started fighting, clawing at each other, hurling the most vicious insults. I watched, a detached sense of irony washing over me. This was their great, profound love. It was nothing but a fragile, ugly thing. After taking several slaps, something in Clara broke. She pulled a knife from her pocket and lunged at Leo, plunging it into his chest. The world went silent. Leo collapsed, his eyes wide open in death. When the police led a catatonic Clara away, she seemed to regain a flicker of lucidity. Her eyes found mine. "You're the only one I ever truly wronged," she said, her voice a hollow whisper. "No matter what happens to me, you have to live well." I said nothing. I just turned my back, walked to the car, and got in beside Sophia. She placed her hand on mine, her eyes full of concern. "Are you okay?" I leaned over and kissed her, cutting off her words. I pulled back and managed a small smile. "Don't worry about me. There's only you now." Leo didn't survive. Clara was convicted of murder and received the death penalty. I inherited all our marital assets and, 6 months later, opened my own small consulting firm, paying back every cent Sophia had fronted me. Her parents approved of me, and 2 years later, we were married. Married life with Sophia was a quiet joy. I was attentive and caring, and she was my constant source of happiness and surprise, always respectful of boundaries, never giving me a reason to feel jealous or insecure. One evening, on my birthday, she came home with a mischievous glint in her eye. "Guess what I got you for your birthday?" she asked, pulling a folded piece of paper from her bag. I took it from her, a wave of pure, unadulterated happiness washing over me as I saw the ultrasound image. I pulled her into my arms and kissed her deeply. "We're having a baby. The rest of our lives stretched out before us, clear and bright."